Yes, there are several causes for the fall of the empire. There was disintegration of the forces of the empire. There were very weak emperors. And one can blame for the absence of the succession formula in those empires. If an emperor dies, a successor will take over. So what was the formula of a successor to take over? There was no such formula provided by the empire. And the forces joining the empire together were losing their strength. There was scarcity of the resources and increase of the empirical expense. The empires were overburdened, and there were revolts in different parts of the empire as well. And the nations who had arrived for the sake of trade found it as a wet loaf. Although their purpose was not to invade the empire, but when they found it as a wet loaf, they were obliged to invade the empire, and they found it a wonderful opportunity to colonize it as well. Once the integrated forces of the empire started exposing the weakness of the empire, it became very clear to the colonists that they could make their way, and they did it so easily. And then they went along with it, which was a great success for them. The events which went all along with thereafter were the ones that the center of the empire was very weak. The emperor was not efficient enough, and his ministers, his advisors, his military lords, they all lacked, and in fact it led to a scenario of collapse of the empire. The British were on the rise throughout the world. They had such campaigns elsewhere in Asia. They had such campaigns in Africa. They had such campaigns in Middle East, and they were pretty successful in North America as well. They established a colony there, and they benefited a lot from their North American colonies. There were other European nations in South America, Central America, getting the greatest of the riches, the benefits that a colonist could do, and it in fact went in their favor. When we compare the American people with those of the people in India, the American people didn't have a state, didn't have a military structure. But when we look at India, India had a very well-structured military organization, and they had a very strong state, so to say, a very strong empire. And it was not thinkable in those days that they could invade India, they could invade India the way they had invaded America. But it happened by a stroke of luck. They managed to invade India, the things didn't go in favor of the empire, they went in favor of the colonist, and the colonists were successful.